Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Cross-dressing activists are already clamoring for their slice of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell repeal pie. I'm Matt Barber, Director of Cultural Affairs with Liberty Counsel and Associate Dean with Liberty University School of Law. Joining me in studio again is Shawn Akers, Dean of Liberty's Helm School of Government and Policy Analyst with Liberty Counsel. Well, Shawn, as we spoke about yesterday, recently the United States Senate, aided and abetted by 8 Republican senators, has voted to repeal the law, Section 654, Title 10, that disallows open homosexual behavior in the ranks of the armed services. President Obama has signed it into law, and now our United States Congress and our president, most of whom who have never spent a day in the armed services, with a approval rating of about 13%, one of the institutions with the lowest approval rating in the country, have now voted to push their morals and their worldview on an institution that has one of the highest approval ratings in America, that being our United States Armed Services. Well, the National Center for Transgender Equality is already clamoring for cross-dressers, men who think they're men, or women who think they're women, people who suffer under the APA designated gender identity disorder, that they should be allowed to serve additionally alongside troops, gays and lesbian and heterosexual troops in the military. This means, of course, that we would have men wearing female uniforms, sleeping in the barracks alongside women, showering with women in the barracks, and so forth. Here's what the National Center for Transgender Equality is saying, quote, "The Department of Defense should eliminate transgender status and gender identity disorder diagnoses as automatic disqualifications from military service, and should ensure that medical fitness standards treat transgender service members equally with all other service members." Shawn, they knew that they couldn't get this through with a transgender provision attached because it shocks the conscience even of an America that some polls indicate have in some fashion supported the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. They know that is a bridge too far, but we also knew that it wouldn't take long for them to come out of the chute demanding now that cross-dressers be allowed to serve in the ranks of the armed services.
Well, and Matt, it would be naive to think that, you have to remember both sides of this debate have terribly intelligent people on them that do their homework. As far back as August of 2008, the Transgender American Veterans Association, TAVA, was doing what they called then the largest questionnaire for transgender servicemen and women in the United States military ever up to date. So they've, don't think for a second that very smart people have not been doing the research and planning, waiting for this day right now to begin launching phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Don't think for a second that this is the end of it, that they've made their statement and now it's over. We're facing, and we've talked about it for years, Matt, we are literally facing a cultural crisis in society where we're having to make a determination as a people, as a corporate body politic, as we the people, which way is our nation going to go? Is it going to follow the path that the founders laid out for it, or are we going through sleight of hand and misdirection, draft for ourselves, craft for ourselves, mislead ourselves into a brand new constitution that looks absolutely nothing like the one that the founders drafted? These issues, as you and I both know, would be laughable in even 100 years ago, even 75 years ago.
Well, even as even 20 years ago.
Well, really, even 20.
Yeah.
But you and I also know you've done a good deal of research on the fact that this particular movement works on both a short-term, a medium-term, and a long-term plan, and they play that long-term plan so far very effectively. So, I mean, we're waiting to see. I'm very interested to see how the Transgender Veterans Association is going to come out after this particular announcement.
And we can't understate the chaos that this will cause, and the threat that this has to enlistment, to retention. How many families, God-fearing families in Georgia, are going to want to send their 18, 19-year-old daughter off to join the United States Marines, knowing that the military may very well, the next step may be, because there are differing levels of being transgender. There's pre-op, there's post-op, transsexual, and so forth. Men who are fully men and have not gone through surgical mutilation to change plastic surgery, essentially to change their physical appearance to appear as women. Many laws, for instance, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, seeks to give them full recognition, government stamp of approval and recognition as women. So we're talking about fully biological men showering alongside with these 18, 19-year-old girls from Christian girls from a small town in Georgia and so forth. This is, it sounds like hyperbole, but we are actually at that point, and this GLBT movement is relentless. And Shawn, this is a feather in the cap of the radical left, which historically and even today has harbored great hostility toward the armed services. I believe it's a feather in the cap in that the last bastion really of conservative thought in a major institution, the U.S. military, has now been infected by the virus of liberalism. In addition to that, what a blow to the quality of our armed services. What an undermining effect this has on the stability and the ability of our men and women to, with unit cohesion and with strong troop morale, to defend our borders, to defend our country, and for a group of people, the progressive movement, to tambourine-playing peaceniks, if you will, what a victory for them in an effort to undermine national security, people who hate America, frankly, and to undermine the strength of our United States Armed Services.
Well, and Matt, it's very ironic on the chessboard as well as a tactical and strategical place to bring this battle. This is an amazing victory for them and for the far left, because they took to the United States military, Matt, where when you sign up for the United States military, let's put this into common terms so you see what I'm talking about. When you sign up for the United States military, a lot of your constitutional rights, as we tend to term them, are put on hold. Yeah. You don't use the United States military to try a new experiment in free speech. You're going to get shot down. I mean, it's just not the place to do it. You don't use it for religious experimentation. You know, quite frankly, it's been very, very difficult for years. We had cases about whether Jewish practitioners could even wear a yarmulke. So you're not looking at a place where you walk in with full constitutional rights. You're in the U.S. military. But yet, these groups were successful in taking something that has not even been implemented in society at large and having it fully implemented, at least on paper, in the United States military. I mean, that to me strikes me as a fundamental point that is very dangerous for the coming times.
Well, and as I mentioned, this is a crown jewel for the radical pro-homosexual, sexual relativist left who seek to reinvent and recreate in America in their own secular socialist self-image. Shawn, you and I were talking earlier. Before the repeal was even signed, we have activists, homosexual activists, saying, if we can put a machine gun in the hands of gays and lesbians, we should be allowed universally to put a ring on their finger. So now they're going to leverage this for the fight to radically redefine marriage. They'll be leveraging this to seek passage of INDA, the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. They'll be leveraging this in order to try to implement every single radical demand of the sexual relativist left, the homosexual activist lobby. They're already doing it. This is why, this was the primary purpose, this was the primary motive for getting this crown jewel, active, open homosexuality in the ranks of the armed services. Well, folks, at Liberty Counsel, we will not cease in our efforts to push back against this anti-American agenda. We are going to stand here and defend the history of this country. We're going to defend our founding principles. And most importantly, we are going to stand up in defense of God's objective truth, the Word of God, the Holy Scriptures, the Bible. To learn more about Liberty Counsel, go to lc.org or give us a call, 800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.